We all know by now that digital transformation is a massive opportunity. It's anywhere from $3 to $5 trillion depending on whose forecast you believe. But the big problem is that the 900 billion out of the 1.2 trillion spent by the global 2000 has been wasted or considered ineffective. Now, why is this happening? I believe it's because digital transformation represents a unique management challenge. It has to cut across the leadership theories, management theories, innovation theories, and digital technologies. Now, if you look at the number of books published on these subjects, you have over 50,000 books on each of them, which you can say represents the collective human knowledge that we have accumulated so far. But there is a problem here, which is brilliantly covered by Professor Sutton and Pfeffer's book, Hard Facts, Dangerous Half-Truths and Total Nonsense, which tries to deconstruct many of the management theories. In that, they give a telling table of 12 instances of these contradictions that they have noticed. In search of excellence versus the myth of excellence. Built to last versus built to fail. Because many of these books contradict with each other, it is not clear which concept you are supposed to follow, which makes traditional management models ineffective, especially in digital transformation where technology is a key component. If you look at the traditional learning models, there's a problem there as well. For digital transformation, I counted something like 23 subjects cutting across breakthrough innovation, how to deliver the innovation successfully, how to sell the innovation to the stakeholders, and also the mindsets that are needed. Now imagine designing a program that cuts across 23 subjects. For the participants to integrate all of this in their head and internalize it and practice it in their context is really a tall order. This points to the fact that there is probably a hidden crisis here. And Thomas Kuhn, in his brilliant 1962 book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, posited that whenever there is such a big crisis, a paradigm shift happens. In fact, he coined this phrase paradigm shift, which we all use many times these days. Now, I believe such a paradigm shift is the phenomenon-based learning model from Finland. In the academic year 2016-17, the Finnish grade school education system, K through 12, cut over completely from a subject-based to a phenomenon-based learning model. To explain what that is, I'm going to use a story from my own life. My daughter, who was 12 years old a few years ago, asked this question: why does the rainbow have 7 colors to me? And I gave the pat answer from optics. White light gets split into these 7 component colors, and that's why. But she said, that's not the question that I asked. I want to know, why is it not 3 or 4 or 18 or 20? Why is it 7? And for that to be answered, I had to go to phenomenon-based learning. And before I go there, I want to give you all an organizing metaphor for this speech. I am told that just 6 of these Lego blocks can be combined in 900 million different ways. You can build any kind of structure, right? You all know this. Now, going back to the rainbow example, physics, history, mythology, geography, biology, these are all subjects we have studied in grade school. But in the PhenoBL model, you don't need to study the entire subject, but you need key facts from each of these. So a Lego block or a few Lego blocks from each of these subjects. Now, looking at the rainbow, physics, we already got the answer from optics. Biology says that the rods and cones in our eyes is what allows us to detect the colors, and we can only detect the primary colors. Evolutionary biology explains why we can detect only the 3 primary colors. The rest of it is all a combination of these. But it is in history that I found the real answer to my daughter's question. It turns out that Newton arbitrarily decided to make the number of colors 7. He was the one to first split the white light into its component colors using a prism. But 7 is an important number, and that's why he added indigo, which we can't see in the rainbow ourselves. So that's why the rainbow has 7 colors. When you go to geography, you learn that from when above sea water, the rainbow looks different. And in various parts of the world, you have double rainbow, triple rainbow, circular rainbow, pink rainbow, and many other kinds of rainbows. In mythology, from Noah's Ark story, we know that God said he will put a rainbow as a signal to show the end of the flood. So now these 6 facts have been strung together in our head using the rainbow as the anchor phenomenon. This is the basics of the PhenoBL model. So it's a structure of Lego blocks, and you can take out the Lego blocks and construct other kinds of structures. So it's a fascinating model of learning, and I think it will be very effective. Now, coming to business, I believe any business outcome is a phenomenon, digital transformation included. Customer success, profitability, attrition, revenue growth, almost anything. To understand this better, I'm going to use a metaphor. I'm sure all of you play the game of chess, or at least you know the rules. Imagine a game of chess where there is all the pieces have their own mind, right? You say pawn 2 steps forward and the pawn thinks, wait a minute. Today my boss yelled at me, so I'm not going to move. And if every piece on either side made decisions like this, what will happen to the game? And when I ask this question to my audience, they usually say something to the effect of it will be chaos or something like that. But I believe any business outcome that we chase is this type of chess, because people's minds are involved. I call this phenomenon based chess, and it agrees very well with the models of the great thinkers. Peter Senge's dynamic complexity, Nassim Taleb's extremiston, and recently David Epstein's wicked learning environments. So phenomenon, these are all phenomenon because we need to pull together expertise from many different areas, like in the rainbow example. Now, how do we do that in digital transformation and behavior transformation? My co-founder Kumaran came up with a brilliant idea, a concept of a fractal, which can be thought of as a micro skill. He identified that many of the soft skills can be broken down into small fractal skills, which are like these reusable Lego blocks. Since he came up with the idea, myself, Kumaran, and our team of mentors, we have created a library of fractals, which we call fractal routines, and that's the subject of our patent. And in our model, we use the ambitious business outcome as the anchor phenomenon, and we call it measurable anchor phenomenon because in business we need to produce a measurable outcome. So we can create a single program that covers all the key skill areas that I covered already: breakthrough innovation, delivering, selling, mindset change, and anything else. So this is a very effective model in digital transformation. Now, as I covered in this series before, ambitious outcomes produce inspiration. In the corporate world, typically we set realistic outcomes, which does not give inspiration, and it also doesn't create a drive for learning, because people can achieve realistic outcomes with things that they already know. Inspiration is super important because that's the only influencing technique that can get 90% of the employees committed to our purpose, whereby they put in their own discretionary effort. And you can think of inspiration as a Swiss Army knife. Employees are happier, more engaged, more grateful, more driven, and overall more purposeful. So inspiration is what we want. And in our programs, to put money where our mouth is, we put 20% of our fees at risk tied to the ambitious outcomes. I'm happy to say our participants have delivered over $40 million of business impact to their organizations in the last 7 years. Now, there's another problem in learning. Not just the knowledge, we also need to practice these skills that we learned. Towards that, I want to give you a fascinating fact. Our conscious brain processes 40 packets of information per second. The subconscious brain processes 11 million packets of information per second. When I first came across that, I fell out of my chair. I saw that in this book, Strangers to Ourselves by Timothy Wilson. Now, fractals, because they are fine-grained, they can be more easily routinized. I have been working in the area of routinization and habit formation for the last 12 plus years, and I am a practitioner of Tiny Habits method of Professor B.J. Fogg, and we have used this with over 2,500 people that have passed, who have attended our programs. So this idea of fractal routines really works to change the mindsets and accelerate the learning at the subconscious level. Our programs are 120-day programs, and we split the participants into what we call pods, inspired by the Spotify's squads and tribes model. In the first 30 days, we find a bottom of the iceberg transformative opportunity and design a futuristic technology solution. In the next 60 days, we execute on them using an MVP structure while overcoming the organizational resistance. And the last 30 days, we get the participants to tell a good story about what they achieved. And underneath it all is the practice of persistence, curiosity, and the mindset change. And we achieved that through our mobile app Magic Spark, which I am happy to say has collected over 430,000 journals. Each journal representing a instance of a practice by our participants.